Hey, it's Mike Brennan,
And it's Matt Roush.
and we have a recurring contributor who's joined us again today, Tamara Shoemaker from the University of Detroit Mercy, and she runs the Cyberpatriot program here in the state. Let's start off with, again, we always assume people don't know what these things are. So let's start off with that very first question. What is Cyberpatriot?
So Cyberpatriot is a middle school and high school competition. That's a virtual competition that's played from October until April each year.
And of course, now it's virtual. Well, it was virtual pretty much before, but it
Right.
definitely is now, right? So,
Absolutely. Normally the only face-to-face thing that we do is nationals, but that has to be virtual this year and next year probably.
And
Okay.
at what do the students compete?
So it's a cybersecurity competition, and it is to make sure that operating systems in both Microsoft and Linux are secure, and also Cisco networking security.
So it's a virtual sort of white hat, black hat type event.
It is. It's very exciting. It's really good, hands-on, good cybersecurity practices for young people to learn. And the program goes actually from K through 12, so it's a really cool program for. We have some video games for the younger kids as well to sort of get them up to speed in cybersecurity.
And it starts out with a strong component on for the younger kids about online safety as well.
Absolutely. Make sure that they're safe right now, and then it sort of builds themselves up until they can sort of, come in and secure a business at the end of the day and keep it safe from bad guys.
Cool.
And as we all know, getting a job in cybersecurity, there's no shortage of opportunities. It's probably the most in-demand job there is out there, and I've seen all sorts of numbers out there for how many openings there are. Do you have any kind of accurate figures on that?
So the most thing that sort of struck me the other day when I was doing a little bit of things is that it said that we need to have 400 million people in the pipeline currently in order to make
400 million?
400 in the pipeline in order to supply, going out to 2020, 2025. So, it takes us a while to get them through the pipeline, right?
Yeah.
So if we're going to continually, unless of course the lights go out and we lose all of our cyber and our capabilities, we need a ton of more folks into the pipeline. And so that was a staggering thing to me. So there's like 450 or 405 million jobs, Michigan, right? And then globally it continues. So globally this number.
I think you meant 1,000. You're saying 400 million.
Sorry, you're right.
We don't have that many people in the country,
in the country. Yeah. No, sorry. But globally, we have this huge need. And again, it takes so long for them to get into the pipeline that we need to have that many in the pipeline in order to do the need.
And speaking of that,
I was going to say you've referred to the educational system as a funnel.
There you go. That's what I was going
to
say.
And that's not what we need right now, right?
No.
Expound on that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, no, it's not at all. But what we really need is a fire hose, right? So we really needed to sort of flip that funnel over and start to turn out millions of cybersecurity warriors, right? As soon as we can. And that's been a problem for traditional education.
All right. And you often talk about culture change regarding cybersecurity. What do you mean by that?
So we've been treating sort of cybersecurity as this super spy secret kind of thing that's, first IT, and then you need this other kind of tool in your tool belt that's really scary and very, very difficult to get into. And you must need to, enjoy being by yourself and enjoy hard math and all of that kind of good stuff. And it's not necessarily that. It's truly a lot more just plain best practices in cybersecurity, keeping in mind that you have bad actors that are going to exploit any vulnerabilities. But those vulnerabilities are not just in the hardware and software, which is what we traditionally think of. It's in the hardware, it's in the software, it's in the apps, absolutely. But it's also very important, we need to stress, it's also in the humans that are behind the keyboards and behind the firewalls. They're in the company. And so those other areas we're not really covering. So we're covering 30% of the problem with the technical issues, but we're not covering the other 70% that are the actual human factors type of things.
Yeah, I remember hearing an old story, gosh, it must be 20 years ago now, where a company hired a cybersecurity consultant and the guy was able to send the CEO an email from his own account within 2 days, just by doing human factor stuff like looking like he worked at the place and standing outside with a bunch of people, taking a smoke break and getting back into the building without a pass, and all that stuff just sort of snowballed.
Right.
And he was able to send the CEO an email from his own account within 2 days, which is not the kind of security you want, obviously.
No, because if you're not all secure, you're not totally secure in all areas, then you're not secure at all, right? So if there's a way around things, which is what the really good bad guys do, right, is find those way around. I mean, we still are having problems with passwords being insecure. We're still having problems with people clicking on things that are attached. Really, really basic, easy, basic things that they still haven't figured. We still haven't been able to change the culture to let people know that all people that are employed right now have to have some level of cybersecurity awareness, so that they don't blow it for the whole company, for the state, for the government, for all of us, right, that are out here.
Yeah.
Well, you also, I know you've talked about, besides the culture change, about education and industry putting unintended barriers into hiring and educating cybersecurity professionals. What do you mean by those unintended barriers?
So, for the most part, we're still fighting our last war, right? It's all it's either one or the other. It's either physical or it's technology, and it's not now. Now it's both of those things. So we're still trying to hire people that look like us. We're still trying to hire people that have our backgrounds. We're still we're not looking for a diverse workforce. And in order to beat the bad guys, because they are very diverse, they are using all kinds of skill sets in this, right? They're not just following along the normal path that you would think of as some cybersecurity person would go, which would our intent, what we think our lens has shown us. We really need to bust out of that kind of a way of going at things. We need to make sure that we know who's doing the hiring. So what do they physically look like? What is their background like? So that when they're doing the interviewing, they're not just looking for a clone, right? We need to know, how are you casting that net, right? How are you actually going out there and finding these people? Are you pushing, are you throwing things out onto a website, hoping people are going to come by, or are you actually actively going for a diverse population? And even how you word everything, right? So they were just saying that if they put out an advertisement for a hacker, they're going to get an only male population to respond to that. But if they come in and they say that you want someone to defend their system, then they have a much more diverse population that come into that. So what words we use, how we look, and how we act as we're doing it, what we're looking for. Many of the HR folks and people that I talk to across the nation are looking for things that we needed 10 years ago, and not the things that we currently need today. And just, where are you looking? Are you actually casting that net in a place where you're going to get a diverse population of people that are going to come in and do this?
Which begs the question, what do we need today that we didn't need or we were using 10 years ago?
So we need a completely different kind of person, right? So we still need our highly technical folks. There's no doubt about that, right? So our when we're thinking about this in the education space, many people say, we need comp sci, computer science, and we need engineers. We, of course, still need those folks, but we also need people who are artistic types. We also need people who are great writers. We need critical thinkers. We need folks that can analyze things in a different kind of way. We need folks that don't look like us, that are on this show right now, and that think differently than we do, because the bad guys are not coming at our firewalls alone, right? They're finding, like you said, Matt, you had some great examples about how they can get around, the barrier, or the things that we think are there and are keeping us secure. But we need to look better. We need to do a better job of finding those other types of people to come into this field, and we need to expose them to that. And that's one of the things that I use the Cyberpatriot program for all the time, is to expose them to a much larger group of people. In fact, the NICE framework, which is our cybersecurity workforce framework, the government took years putting together, and OPM, which is the Office of Placement and Management for the whole federal government, put together this thing. It has 7 categories of type of what we're looking for. And out of that 7, only 3 of those are truly traditional computer science engineering type degrees. And there are 950 different career pathways in that. That's a lot of different kind of pathways. And we really are only looking at this with, with a different, with a very small lens, and it needs to be much, much broader.
So it's not just coders that you're looking at then?
No, like I said, we always are going to need that, right? Because we need to be able to do adaptations to anything that we've got that we need to integrate and all that kind of good stuff. We still need app developers and software developers and all that kind of good stuff. But we also need people who are in some of the other areas that are not thought of as cybersecurity people.
All right. So, but you were saying that you feel that increasing the amount of computer science and engineers isn't enough. So is that kind of tie in with what you just said, where you got to get the broader reach out there?
We really do. So we have other areas, right? So the 7 areas are securely provisioned, and that's definitely computer science and engineering to secure, those things. Operate and maintain is also sort of in that stream, but it's more of IT, total, good IT practices. Protect and defend is definitely in that vein. So those are the first ones that are actually in what we normally think. But then you get into investigate, and that's a criminal justice field, right? So that's actually how do you get the evidence? How do you prosecute? Those kinds of things. There's collect and operate, and that's pure intel. That's the pure intel stuff. Think of the 3-letter agencies, FBI, CIA, NSA, those kind of kinds. It's a spycraft, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have to know what the bad guys are doing and how to stop that, right? Before it actually becomes an intrusion. There's collect and operate. There's analyze, which is analyzing all the data, right? And that's not an IT function. That's not a cybersecurity, a technical function. That needs to be critical thinkers that get into that. And then oversee and govern, which is more a pure business type of thing, where you have to actually take all the regulations and all the things that govern us as an industry, as business and IT, and how that all works in cybersecurity, and learn those processes. So those are not at all technical, right? Those are completely different kinds of fields, and so we have to draw from those other fields and bring them into cybersecurity. And just make sure everyone knows that those fields are cybersecurity jobs, right?
Little over a minute left.
So tell us a little bit about what's happening in Cyberpatriot right now this month.
Wonderful. So we're continuing on. We think that we're going to have a strong year, even stronger, maybe even because now we are probably the only sport and the only after school activity in a lot of schools that are online only. So it's registration time. So it's time for our coaches and our schools to get together. So they have to do that before October 15th. Even if they're not sure that they're going to have a full team, please register, because you can't, after the date is closed, you can't add, right? So you can take away, so you can say, I didn't make enough kids to make a team or to make several teams like I thought. So you just take away the ones that you didn't get. We're very fortunate that we also have some lesson plans, some practice images, and all kinds of wonderful help from our friends out in California, Alan Stubblefield, and you can get a hold of me to get a hold of those wonderful things so you can truly jump in and have a ton of lessons. And the really cool thing about that, you guys, is that it's not just an after-school program. This information could be in the schools, right? So in the normal classroom. So our teachers that are looking for online resources right now can take this stuff and put it right into the classroom and get it moving.
Okay, one more time. What's that address where people can get more info?
So we have our website is MICyberpatriot.com, and you can get a hold of me at Tamara Shoe at Gmail for any information on the Michigan Cyberpatriot program.
All right. Once again, Tamara Shoemaker from Michigan Cyberpatriot. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Traditional 4-year students love Lawrence Technological University's thriving campus life, but LTU has always met non-traditional students' needs too. Lawrence Tech offers over 100 degree and certificate programs that can get adult students started or back on track. And most of our classes are conveniently offered evenings at our beautiful Southfield campus or online, so you can balance your social, family, and work life even while you power up your career. Lawrence Tech, where Blue Devils dare.